Hello, I'm Christina, and I'm here with Martina, and we are your podcast hosts for Everyday Ordinary, Extraordinary Men. We are deep divers and avid students of life and powerful facilitators for healing. In real life, I'm an intuitive healer who blends massage therapy and energy work to provide customized holistic services.
And I'm a life coach specializing in parent and women empowerment, and I'm also a sound healer. And we both love to incorporate crystals and essential oils and angelic Reiki and intuitive guidance, of course, into our work.
So here's our context. Most humans have a lot of preconceived notions and stereotypes about gender. For example, men are tough and silent and forceful, where women can be chatty and manipulative or emotional. In doing that, we put people in a box and often forget to see beyond those labels. And if someone's not fitting the mold, we might call them a name like tomboy or sissy. Those and similar labels often cause discord. But what would a world look like where we can go beyond our preconceived notions and understand that we are much more than our gender? That we humans are strong and soft and gentle, deep and powerful, tough, fierce, and open. That qualities are not specific to a gender. That we all have all qualities available to express. What would a world look like where we are all free to be who we choose to be and express all of our emotions? When we allow ourselves to express the so-called masculine and feminine qualities within ourselves, we set ourselves free. When we allow others to do the same, when we accept all of them, we create synergy, peace, and harmony. So today we are welcome to our show, Adam. So Adam, if you introduce yourselves to our listeners today.
Greetings, friends. My name is Adam Tutor. I am honored to be a part of the Everyday Ordinary Extraordinary Man. And I am one who walks with these men on a daily basis. I am a leader of men. I'm a spiritual guide. I am currently working with men and boys through transformative experiences, rites of passage, initiatory journeys that guide them through the wilderness and back to our communities, to our families, in a place of service. And so I am thrilled to witness the evolution of these men and to debunk what you've shared as the mission of your podcast. And so to expand the vision for men and bring them back into the circle. And so I'm thrilled to share what that looks like and to explore these conversations with you. And thank you for lifting up this platform so we can shine a light.
Thank you. It's so necessary, right? I agree. I remember reading a book where they were talking about there's no rite of passage for men, really. So how does a man figure out what it means to be a man, right? And so the role models are either the macho man or the sweet, soft, floaty yogi. And it seems to be nothing in between, right? And so it's beautiful. Thank you for doing the work. Thank you for choosing that way, and lighting the path for everyone. So Adam, if we really knew you, what would we know about you?
I just did one of the things. I breathe deeply. I take a, I like to take my time when I speak. Whenever my friends do an impression of me, they close their eyes and they take a deep breath and they lower their voice like 2 octaves. And so that's the beginning, slowing down to feel the beauty around me. In my connection to the world is very often through the lens of Mother Nature. I find my reflections there most often. I find it mostly in meditation in communion, in stillness. I am a devotee of Paramahansa Yogananda, so communion with God, devotion at my altar every morning and evening is what I wish people to know about me if they know something. If they want to know more, they may travel with me to the stage and see me playing my saxophone or sharing life and music in that way. If they want to know me more, they may see me dancing, moving like a child, being with children in playful places in the wilderness with music, with imagination, bringing the inner child out to explore. And they may find me sitting around the fire, alone or with other men, with other boys. They may find me being playful and cooking and eating sweets with my beloved, celebrating life in that union. These are the ways I would want to be known.
Beautiful. It's like I'm watching you. For those of you who are just listening, I'm watching you look around your room, looking at who am I? Like, who am I really? And then you have this huge smile on your face. It's just really, really beautiful.
Yeah.
Mhm. Love it. All right. I think we really need to jump into what made you who you are today. I don't like to jump into this question so quickly, but there's so much I want to talk about, especially learning how you started developing your programs. So,
Yeah.
what made you who you are today? So like what was your biggest lesson? What made you who you are? Like what put you on this path you're on today?
There's lots of different questions within that
Sure.
first question, so
Yeah.
I'll choose one of them.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I'll share what made me who I am today, and then share what brought me to this path, because those are two unique questions. You know, I feel very different than the boy that grew up in Texas, you know, for 30 years ago, and I feel very much his presence with me. When I was a boy, my inner child was encouraged. I was allowed to be a boy. I wasn't forced to grow up too quickly. I had very loving parents. My father was in the military, so he was mostly there, was made an effort to be very present, and be my coach for all my sports games. And so that's where I learned to feel his gifts as a father. Yeah, I was very present in that way. My mother was unconditionally loving and constantly telling me how special I was, and like nurturing me and tending to me. And I had a little sister, and so I got to watch that happen again in another way. And so I had a very beautiful, maybe more traditional American life, in the sense, of the nuclear family together, and playing sports, and hanging out with my neighbors and riding bikes and doing all these things that one does when he's a boy. So I got to have that more conventional lifestyle. I was not exposed to a lot of different ways of being, though. There were a lot of different kind of people. I feel like, my community and the religious context and all these things were very much, I'd say, sheltered, but just like a little more monochromatic, like narrowed in focus. So I knew the church, the Christian church, and I knew my safe suburban neighborhoods, and most of the people look like me and all these things, right? And so it was, you know, maybe studying abroad when I was in college, that there was the first time that I had to really open my eyes to see, oh, here's how other people live. I traveled to South Africa, and I got to be in the townships. I got to walk with the Native African youth, and I got to see what compassion meant. I got to see what poverty meant. I got to see the vestiges of racism and apartheid, and in a very real way. I got to really see, like, oh, this is real life, and that opened up my heart in a way that shifted my focus. Shifted my focus from, I'm going to study for the LSAT and go to law school, to I'm not going to touch those books, and I'm going to go to the Peace Corps. And so I served for 2 years as a teacher of English in Ukraine right after college, and I continued to expand my understanding of what service meant, and what it meant to learn a new language, not only linguistically, but also culturally, socially, psychologically. And it just kind of trimmed the fat of my ego in any way that I was holding on to ways that I thought I knew the right way, and gave me a lot of empathy, and helped me. It's probably the first place that I really like deeply listened, and so that's what shaped me, until I was 25, and then I came back to the States and found out I still had some ego left. Imagine that. And there was work still to do. I discovered yoga around that time in my mid to late 20s. I found my now guru, Paramahansa Yogananda, when I was 29. And it wasn't an accident that in that same year I discovered men's work. When I say men's work, what I mean by that is the conscious entering into a space where I am willing to be with my shadow and to transform the limitations of my body and my mind and my psyche in order to show up in greater service to the world. The shadow is that which we hide, deny, and repress. If you want to know more about that, you can go read some Jung, and you can go read some archetypal work, and we can go
I've
into
actually,
it. We can go into it if you want.
well, I trained with Debbie Ford, and Debbie Ford is kind of the queen of the shadow work. Like she translated all that work into coaching programs. So it's like, yeah, absolutely. We have to uncover all that is hidden, right? It's, yeah.
Very beautiful, very beautiful.
And there's always more.
And there's always more. There's always more. Where the light's shining, there's going to be something, right? So I got to be with that. I got to be with that as a man entering his 30s, and I was blessed to be in a spiritual community where I had a relationship with the leader, and he became my spiritual mentor. And he said, "Come, I see you doing the work. I see you showing up in a different way. Come sit with the circle of men. You've been watching me, And he said, come sit with us. And I said, I would love to, And that's where I witnessed, it was like somebody's garage, work, pulled up the big old garage, door, and there it is. And it's just a very unassuming space. And there in this, twice a month, men gather to do transformational healing. And these are guys that I wouldn't have ever looked at and been like, these guys do transformational healing. These guys can communicate emotionally and take ownership of their words and not take it on and not take it personally. Move through things in a really powerful way. And it was just like, I was just thrown in. And I said, yeah, I'm here for this. They invited me to a weekend. It was the Mankind Project. Mankind Project is an international organization. It supports the healing of men in the way that I just described. And I stepped through my initiatory experience, and that opened me up and welcomed me into a greater circle. And I said, this is going to be something that will inform my life. I don't know what that looks like yet, but it will. And 3 years later, I met a man who told me that I had greater gifts to share. And that part of that healing was for me to lead men. And I said, okay. And so I entered his programs and leadership trainings and facilitation trainings and continued to hone my skills and sharpen my axe, and began to offer programs online during the pandemic and retreats. As soon as I got out on the trail, as soon as I had a staff in my hand, that I knew exactly where I was supposed to be and what was coming next. So much more, but that's where it began.
Beautiful. Like what I hear is you're saying yes. Yes.
Yeah, that was me saying yes. Yeah.
Over and over, and the next saying yes. Yes.
Still having to choose that every day, friend.
Oh, yeah.
Still
Of
having to
course.
choose that every day, Martina. Yeah.
Of course, who doesn't? But you keep choosing it, so good for you.
Thank you, God. Yeah. Wow.
So let me ask you, what fills your tank? Now you're doing all this work. What fills your tank? I assume being out in nature, right? And you talked a little bit about, being still like that playful inner child. What fills your tank?
Yeah. Moments like this, sharing my heart, sharing what lights me up. The world keeps me accountable to doing those things. That fills me up whenever I'm feeling low, just getting to talk about it. Having curiosity, either exhibited by myself or given to me by others. Curiosity, you mentioned the wilderness, going out to my backyard and being curious about the ponderosa tree that's been here for 150 years, and like asking it questions and hugging it, that fills my tank. Every morning, every evening, sitting with my harmonium, singing, praises and chants to God, sitting in that place in stillness afterwards, fills my tank in the purest way, in the truest way. Creating heart-centered music that's not about me anymore, music that's about love, that's about spirit, it's about connecting to that flow place. Places where I get to just really forget who Adam thinks he is, and just get to speak from a pure place. I'm not having to use any mind power to talk to you right now. I'm just talking to you, This that feels very easeful. And there's like a natural circulation. It's not even necessarily a filling of the tank. It's it's just like a hydroelectric, the flow of the river running through. It's coming back into the river. It's coming back to the energy. Wow, it's lighting up someone's home. It's lighting up my heart. It's more like that for me. Yeah.
Beautiful. The word well, there's two words is one is unity, right? Like
What is unity?
unity, it's like everybody, it's like we're all the same, we're interchangeable. And with that, it's the particles, right? It's like when you're full, like the image that I kept seeing is like dissolving into particles, like becoming one with everything in a way. That's what I mean by unity. That's the image that I saw as you were talking. I was like, oh, that's beautiful.
Unity and union, to me almost are the same,
Yeah.
you're dissolving into the same source. Yeah, that's the yoga. Yoga means union. That's what it is. That's what it's about. Union with what? Union with God. Where's God? Everywhere. God is one. There it
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
I'm curious, Adam. You said
Yeah.
you play the saxophone. Did you play the saxophone from before your awakening, for lack of a better term?
I didn't play it the way I play it now,
Well, that was my question. So we
you know?
recently interviewed another man who was was a I'm not gonna say this right, flautist, flute.
Flautist. Yeah,
Flutist,
yeah, yeah.
Eh,
flutist.
Flautist.
So
Flautist is the road. Yeah.
and then did his corporate job and didn't touch it for a while, right? And
Mhm.
now he's in this renaissance of his life and finding himself, and he's like playing his flute now is so different than when he played it when he was younger.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
a very different experience, and I was just curious how it is
Ooh.
for you.
Ooh, great.
Um,
I love this question. This
Well,
is fun.
he was talking about becoming the music almost.
yes.
So
Yeah.
it's like going beyond just playing the music. It's
Well,
becoming.
yeah, and becoming one with the instrument, right? So
Yeah.
take that from there, Adam.
Yeah. So, I began playing when I was 13. So I certainly didn't have the selfless orientation that I attempt to have now. I was curious, I was playful, I was a jazz head, like I was started, playing the blues scales when I was, 13 and would wake up early in the morning to go to practice with everybody so I could learn these things and learn how to improvise and play in the big bands and do all these things, into my 20s. And so I played, yeah, in big bands from middle school through college and had my own ensembles and all that, played professionally. But a lot of that, Christina, was a relationship with like letting go and not having to be seen, you
Mm.
know. It was like guys that I'd play with that I admired. I'd be like, oh, are they going to say anything about the solo that I played today? Are they going to ask me to play with them and this and that? And just like learning a lot about getting humbled along the way by some people who told me how I was doing and it wasn't how I thought I was doing, these kind of things.
Yeah.
And so that was beautiful for me. And so it was often the tempo was up, the tempo was up, the expression was outwards, and it was up, up in terms of speed, but also like up on a stage, right?
Yeah.
And I wasn't the best listener. I would play over and I'd want to be heard and all these things, right? And so when that shifted for me, when I met my guru and I had this like total 180 of like, oh, like I'm here to be servant of love. That was it became like my handle, my Instagram handle for a while, and it became the name of my first album and a way of being and a way of showing up in the world. And it was like I took my saxophone to the shop and I got her polished. Like they took it all apart, right? And like put all the different oils on it and like washed it in the special sauce and all the things, And I got it back and it was like, who is this creature? It felt like a love, that I had known, I'd always loved, that I'd always kept with me everywhere. I took her all around the world with me, And but like there was this side of her that I hadn't listened to,
Mm-hmm.
that I hadn't let come out, that was always there. I hadn't listened. And so I began to play in a completely different way. And it became like almost like I'll share my music with you when we're done. You can
Yeah.
hear for yourself, but like it almost felt like an orchestra. I began to play like a cellist plays, you know, it started to sound like that, started to feel like that. I began to make music for meditation and mindfulness, and my first album came out, and it was like I was waiting for these experiences to happen to like round out my life experience so that I could reflect back on it in that way. And so now when I can still jam out, I can still have fun and all those
Sure.
things, but I'm not attached to it, you know, I'm not attached to it. And when I play, like I'm really,
Well, I'm
my
sure
heart,
even the jamming must be different too, right? Because you're really listening to the people you're jamming with and you're just being in union with them. It's different than trying to be all technical with them and trying to like,
yeah.
it's just a different experience, right?
Yeah, yeah, totally. One of the main guys I jam with is my roommate, you know, and he's also the one that brought me deeper into this men's work path, and we have such a, I mean, we know each other so well that I don't, there's no questions that have to be asked. It just becomes this like primordial soup of like funkiness, you know?
Love it. I love it.
And like it's
Cool.
yeah, yeah, it's just a lot of joy and it's the playfulness, right? So like allowing, and that's part of the rework now is like allowing the playfulness into the sacredness, both of those things coexisting, where my inner boy and my inner man coalesce. There's the magic, you know.
Beautiful.
There's the magic.
If
Yeah.
you have a sound gift that we could add to the notes, we would love to do that. You know, just for people out there to listen. So just let us know,
Yeah,
and
you got it. You got it, baby. You got me
I will.
talking now. Now I'm like talking. When you get me talking about my saxophone, I start talking like a jazz. So it's coming through.
Very
I can't help myself. I was at a jazz club last night listening to a friend perform, and it's actually one of
Ah,
so my boyfriend is a musician, not
so
jazz. And we had a friend in from New York last night who's more of a folk singer. And he was performing last night, but he came back over the house, and for me, watching my boyfriend and his old friend when they get to jam together, and he has a few friends like that that he's been playing with for over 20 years, that it's just magical. Like they don't think, they just flow together. They don't have to
yeah.
ever talk about what they're about to play. They just one pick up an instrument, the other picks up an instrument, and they just go.
Mm,
And it's delightful to watch. And so,
mm,
yeah,
yeah. Beautiful.
yummy
Thanks for
stuff.
asking.
Yeah.
so let's just switch topics a little bit. So tell us a funny, silly, or embarrassing story about yourself.
Funny, silly, or embarrassing story about myself. When I looked at this one, I was like, this is the one I was like thinking about the most. I was like, what am I gonna, I'm gonna lay on it. What's coming to me is when I was um, when I was a senior in high school. This was 2006, and do you remember the movie Napoleon Dynamite? It was like a cult classic. Okay, Christina knows it. All right, Martina, you have some homework then. With your probably with your kids, if you guys will love it. So, anyways, it was like this very funny, odd character, Napoleon. He like grows up in rural, countryside, and he has like this kind of hero's journey, but he's very awkward, and his it culminates in he does this big dance in front of the whole school to like save his buddy who's running for class president, and his buddy doesn't have a talent, so he does this like dance that he's been working on, right? And it's the most awkward. It's the funniest thing. It doesn't follow any kind of like dance routine. It's just like really goofy, but it became like a kind of a viral sensation. And I was obsessed with it. I was obsessed with it. And so I found he had like this kind of curly, like afro thing going on. And I found a little wig, and I found, like the t-shirt that he wears was like in sold all in all the stores, and I found like these moon boots somehow that like my dad had from his military days, and I got the whole outfit on, and it was part of this like skit that we did, like a talent show in front of the whole school. So like, you know, there's this, it's a Texas thing, they call it howdy. It's very cheesy. It's very small town Texas. And so there's a skit that we do as part of the organization I was in, and the skit was like, I was a part of an organization called PALS, which was like mentors for kids. We'd go into different schools and all these things. And it was the PALS versus the SLAPs, which was the PALS backwards. And it was like a West Side Story kind of thing, right? You know, it was like they meet on the streets and they're like having some interaction. And like their leader, like they're like, okay, we'll have a dance off. We'll solve this at a dance off, you know, kind of thing. And their leader had a dance, and I was the leader of my troop. And I did like a costume change and like came out, and the music comes on for Napoleon Dynamite. And there's like, you know, I don't know how many kids were in my school, but there was probably maybe 1,000 people. I don't know, a lot of people in the audience. And I did the whole dance. I did the whole dance in front of my school, and I had this like, I have this faint memory in the movie, like there's like this standing ovation, right? Like Napoleon's kind of girlfriend, like is the first one that like stands up and starts clapping. And I see my friend who went with me as we dressed up that way for like the school prom. Like she like stood up, you know, at the very end and was like clapping. I don't think the whole school did, but like I know she did. And like at the very end, I was just like full adrenaline, and like she told me, you know, she was clapping for me and all these things. And so I think that's like, there's a video somewhere, God knows where it is. I don't know if I even actually ever watched it, but it exists somewhere that someone probably took that day of me
I
doing the
love that.
Napoleon Dynamite dance. So that's
I love that.
my claim to fame. Yeah.
That is a fantastic image, Adam. I am so happy I have this image in my head now. Martina, you now have
Yeah.
that movie
I
'cause
guess I now have to
it
watch
is a
it.
feel-good movie. There's really
It is
something.
totally.
He's, you know, he's this nerdy misfit, but still goes through life like pretty confident in what he's doing. It's pretty awesome.
Owns it.
I
He
love
owns it.
Napoleon Dynamite.
That's an archetype, a masculine archetype I need to welcome into my circles.
He so
Napoleon.
just owns who he is, his nerd and everything. He just embraces it all, and I love Napoleon Dynamite. Yeah.
Fun. That's
Oh
fun.
yeah. Adam, what would you say your superpower is?
My superpower. What's my superpower? Hmm. Presence. Presence. It's been reflected to me a lot. The presence, the power of the presence becomes a mirror. And so it's like when I'm in that presence, when I'm in that place of stillness, when I'm allowing my light to come through, it becomes a place for others to see theirs. And yeah, yeah. I'm letting that superpower shine more, as I get to see now the impact that superpower can have. So that's what I like to bring into a room, I like to bring into a circle, I like to bring into these spaces. My relationship with my partner, my relationship with my family, all these things, I'm noticing how important that is in a healing way, in a fun way, in a healing way too.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah. What's your superpower, Christina?
So I have a few. One of them is I am really, really good at honoring the greatness in people and shining it back at them.
We
Kind
share
of
similar
a little
superpower.
similar to yours, um, but yeah, I just like I will hold that space. Even if they don't see it in themselves, I'm gonna hold that. I'm never gonna let them think the worst of themselves. I'm always gonna reflect back their greatness to them, whether they're fighting for their smallness or not. Like that's who I am. I am your biggest cheerleader in your corner. Yeah.
What about you, Marty?
I agree with that one. I think, well, as Christina said, several, right? One is curiosity. It's like this deep curiosity, and Christina shares that with me as well, right? The trying to figure out things, trying to understand. And with that, for me, with the trying to understand is I will give you the benefit of the doubt. Like I will give you the benefit of the doubt over and over. Uh, like I will, if you're, let me see, like there's a trust inside of that where I can bring understanding to a situation. So it's so often, rather than being pissed off, I can say, wow, I get it. I get it. You are in that place. I totally get it. I get that you had to do what you had to do at that moment, right? So there's um, I think it is Neil Donald Walsh that says it's not about forgiving people, it's about trying to understand. And then forgiveness becomes kind of obsolete, right? You don't have to forgive them anymore because now you understand in a way. Doesn't give people the permission to do whatever they want, right? But still there is that place of I understand. I can see how you could have done this. And trying to separate the person from the action.
Mm.
Beautiful. We should team up sometime.
Yeah.
Mm.
So let me ask you the next question.
Mm.
If you had a magic wand and you could give people any quality, what would it be and why?
If I had a magic wand and I could gift people any quality, what would it be? Hmm. Something's coming through, like laughter is the word that's coming through. Laughter's coming through, like the gift of when it's like a special concoction that like when when sadness, and it's not to like replace emotions, right? It's not to like sugarcoat things or to like wash it out, right? But it's like when people get stuck, and like there's something like there's the formula will kick in, you know, and and they'll start laughing and they realize like, am I taking myself so seriously right now? Or they'll be brought to a memory, like a joyful memory of like their grandpa that like does that silly thing that like that he thinks no one notices, but like everyone notices and everyone's laughing behind his back and he has no idea, like one of those things. I'm thinking of my grandpa right now, like right now, as I share that, like I think that I find that it's like, I mean, I know there's like physiological studies, like
Yeah.
it's like when you're laughing, like your body doesn't allow you to like be sad or to be
Hmm.
angry or to be stuck. You may still feel sadness, but you begin to like move through it, or you begin to see a different hue. You begin to appreciate these things. You're like, wow, that was weird that I did that thing, and I got angry at that squirrel for running across the road. That's actually not a road; it's his home that we built a road through. Like I saw that little post the other day, and it was like, the deer isn't crossing the road; your car's crossing the wilderness, friend. Like, and I was like, that's pretty good. I like that. So yeah,
I,
that's what I
I
that's
I
what I
agree.
would
I
give.
think laughter is the best medicine, but I think it just allows us not to be so serious, right? Like we're so serious in our lives, and
Yeah.
when you can just stop and laugh at yourself or laugh at the situation, or it just allows us to just let that seriousness go. And
It's a relief, right? It's like a valve, like a release valve.
Let's all try it together on the podcast.
Yeah, there is actually there's laughing yoga,
laughing yoga,
right?
absolutely. They
This
should
is gonna
probably
be
combine
everyone's.
that with the goat yoga. That would probably
This is
go
gonna be
well
everyone's
together.
favorite part of this whole podcast. They're gonna
Probably.
tune in to right at this very moment. They're gonna be like, "What are these crazy people doing?" Oh my gosh.
But I want to be just as happy as they are.
Yeah. Yeah. Fun. This is fun. I'm having
So,
fun. Thanks,
oh
guys.
my God, we are having fun.
Wonderful.
So, Adam, what are you most grateful for?
What am I most grateful for? I don't want to make it a superlative. I'm just going to tell you the things that I'm grateful for because I can't choose.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Even if it's 10 or 20, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. Grateful for the laughter we had just now. I'm grateful for the wood chopping that I get to do when I'm feeling stuck. Grateful for the fire that I get to put that wood upon and sit with. I'm grateful for my altar. Grateful for the great ones, great yogis and teachers that sit upon my altar. I'm grateful in this season for the love of Christ that fills my heart and that whose example like fills the heart of so many in the true way of Christ's love that's here in this time and in all times, but especially now. As we're recording this, it is before Christmas for those listening afterwards. Grateful for my mother and my father and my sister. Grateful for the lineage of fathers and mothers that came before and the healing that's being done there. Grateful for my beloved partner who's stepping into a big journey with me right now. I'm grateful to all the beautiful children that remind me of what's precious. Grateful for this earth. Grateful for so many things. Those are what I'm feeling right now.
Like my heart is full right now, so thank you for that. It's funny how when somebody interesting, whatever the word is, how
Curious.
curious when somebody starts to talk about the things that they are grateful for, how it has an impact on everybody around. So thank you for that. That's really, really beautiful.
Yeah.
So Adam, last question. What is the legacy you want to leave? What do you want people to remember about you?
The image of the circle has been very alive for me. When I say the circle, I mean the sacred circle, the place of gathering. I believe that the work that I'm beginning to share with the world right now is the start of something that will outlast me. I can feel that. And so the legacy that I wish to leave is that the circle continues to expand. And the circle that's beginning now continues to grow. And those who were a part of this circle continue to make their own circles. And the lineages that have come from this beginning begin to impact their families, their communities. And all these little circles begin to grow around the world from that place. And that those circles are held with reverence. The teachings are held as precious, precious places for our families, for our boys, where this dissolving of masculine and feminine and men and women happens. And we come together around the fire. And this is an image that I hold very closely and I would love to see as a legacy.
Beautiful. Well, I can tell you we will hold that intention for you. And
Yeah.
we are so honored to be part of just holding that space with you, because the work you're doing is so important. So we've come to that time. It's time to brag about the work you're doing and let people know how they can get in touch with you, what you're offering, and how they can reach you.
Yeah. Wow. I just want to share first that I feel very tender and grateful in this moment. And that feels good to feel that in sharing these images with you. So I feel a lot of gratitude for both of you right now. So I introduced myself as Adam. Another name that I go by is Disciple of the Wild. This is my work in the world. My teacher told me that the dance partner of the wild is discipline. These dance together, and so I became that in my work. My work, my mission is to guide men and boys through the threshold of transformation and back to a place where they can feel their hearts, they can heal their families, and they can serve the world. I exhibit that mission through one-on-one coaching with men and with boys, through wilderness retreats and experiences, through men's circles gathered around the fire and gathered online. I am thrilled to share with the world wild discipline, which is the image of the circle that I just shared, that legacy. It is a 6-month rite of passage for men and boys, calling in fathers and sons as well, to heal the masculine lineage, to walk together through that place of initiation, to walk together in the wilderness, to do the work, to acknowledge the gifts of our fathers and the fathers to come, to prepare ourselves for fatherhood, whether biologically or culturally. We all hold that energy. It's a container that has many levels. It's a container where you get to walk with an elder, a mentor, an objective mirror for you on your journey, one who will see the best in you and challenge you. You get to walk with me in one-on-one coaching, where we get to explore some of these questions around your father wounds, around your relationship to your son or your future son, daughters. You get to be with the men and the boys in the group and get to share together in a council that gathers monthly. And then we get to go to the actual mountain, and we have a rite of passage experience where we walk together for 4 days in the mountains of West Texas, Big Bend National Park, one of my favorite places to be in the world. And we get to celebrate and recreate that sacred ritual the way that it would have, where our elders hold the fire and they bless us and send us off to the mountain, and we sit with our vision, and we come back, we're blessed by those same elders. We return to our circle at the end, and we begin to learn, how do we share this gift with the world? How do we take the gold that we gathered and begin to give it to our people? So this is the work. This is the work, and it's going to keep happening. We're going to do it twice a year. And the first program launches January 21st, calling in a few more men, a few more boys to that journey. Mothers, if you're listening to this and your boy is between the ages of 12 and 18, this is the time. This is the time to send him off into the wild to test himself. So you can find me on Instagram at Disciple of the Wild, discipleofthewild.com. And I know that will be shared with you all through this message, this podcast. I'm excited to have you join the circle. Be honored to share in that journey with you.
So beautiful. It's just really so. Thank you. Thank you for opening your heart. Thank you for your tenderness.
Yeah.
Really needs everybody, men and women and men. We need to open our hearts, and we need to open our hearts to ourselves and to each other. And so thank you. Thank you for being that, leading that way.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And thank you for your trust, right? That's another big one. Thank you for your trust.
Yeah. Isn't it beautiful? We've never spoken before.
Yeah.
Isn't it wonderful that we can, when we present the platform, we create a safe space, and we say, we want to see your heart. The safety that's created there, the opportunity, the opening, makes it so easy. It's just so easy. So thank you for continuing to do the work, to show up as vessels for this message to come through, and asking these fun, beautiful, important, playful questions to help shine the light. Honored to be amongst the everyday, ordinary, extraordinary men. Glad to join the wall.
Well, we were so honored to have you with us today. Yeah, really an honor.
Christina, the running joke is, one day we're going to take this on the road and we're going to go visit all the people that came on the podcast. So we can be with you in person and, just be present to you, because we're so inspired by, literally personally.
We fall in love with each person who comes on, and we want to have more conversations. So I think that's phase 2 will be on the road to go follow up.
Well, this is a call out to any of our future sponsorships that would like to jump on right now. We are looking for your support so we can guide Martina and Christina's epic road trip across the nation and the world for these extraordinary men. So if you're tuning in, please reach out to them and let them know you'd want to support.
It's happening. It's happening.
Thank you.
It's happening right now.
It's happening, yes. So thank you. Thank you. So appreciate it. And thank you, all of you out there. Thank you for being here, for listening. If you love this, please leave us a review. Please share. Please go check out Adam's program. Please check out his Instagram. He's even on Facebook. And it's all going to be in the notes. And if you want to find out more about us, you can also find that in the notes. Our LinkedIn profiles are there. And please always remember that you are extraordinary. You rock. Have a wonderful day.
Bye for now. Adam, you get to end.
Blessings to all, and to all a good night.